Wellington's cats won't be chipped in the City Council's proposed animal control bylaw, and with a curfew off the table, they'll be able to roam the city all night long. The Council's recommendation stops short of compulsory microchipping, but call for all cats to be identifiable within 18 months. This comes after a fractious debate which divided cat fanciers and conservationists. Environment Committee hearings were marked by heckling, and in one case a man presented councillors with a photoshopped image of a cat hunting Gareth Morgan. Goodness gracious, our local government reporter Michael Crop filed this report.
Meet Lenny Crop. He's not microchipped, and in that clip having a conversation with my mum about what he wants for breakfast. If he were to live in Wellington, very little in his life would have to change. He'd still be allowed out at night, and my mum would be allowed to hoard cats. And that's disappointed some people. Jeff Simmons from the think tank The Morgan Foundation says the council should have gone further to protect native wildlife from the city's estimated 20 to 30,000 domestic cats.
Microchipping is the only reliable way of identifying cats. Collars can come off. These recommendations accept that we need to identify cats, but then they are chickening out of microchipping them, despite 89% of the public supporting the idea of compulsory microchipping.
Laura Bennett, who has 2 cats, says although a curfew would be hard to enforce, the benefits are worth it.
Pets should be kept inside at night. I definitely believe in that. Like, we do it with our cats, and before we did it, they'll just get into fights and bring in birds and mice and things like that.
The Council's Environment Committee Chair, Iona Pannett, says although there was support for the Council to impose a curfew and restrict the number of cats per household in wildlife-sensitive areas, that was beyond the scope of the bylaw.
Legally, we have no authority to manage wildlife and to protect it. That's what our ability is to manage public nuisance and to put in regulations around the keeping of animals. So we need to be careful. We need the government to step in really and say, look, this is what we need to do in terms of cats, and I'm sure that work will happen.
Households won't be limited to 3 cats, and Ms Pannett says owners will have until the end of 2017 to make sure their pets are readily identifiable.
There will be mandatory identification, so either a collar or a microchip. I will, however, be moving an amendment to say that it should be compulsory microchipping because it's essentially best practice. It's the safest for the cat, and there's huge public support for such a move.
The new rules will also ban people from feeding animals such as pigeons and stray cats in public places unless it's a designated place like a duck pond. Dog owners will also now be able to go to cafes with their dog as long as it's not left unattended. Off-leash exercise areas will be expanded, and if funding is approved, the council will add more fences, poo bag dispensers and rubbish bins in the areas. There are other changes too, such as needing council permission to keep more than 12 chickens and a ban on roosters in urban areas. And Ms Pannett says that's all for a good reason.
We know that people love their animals, and so this policy is absolutely about maintaining their welfare. And I do not want any harm to come. I'm a huge animal lover. I think we need to do far more to protect our pets. We hope to get that balance right in this policy.
In Wellington for Checkpoint, call Michael Crop, DNA.